Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back to another episode of Go Long Live. I am your host, Barry Long the second, not the first, not the third. I am the second. I am coming to you live. I'm on location. I'm actually working with the radio station. I work for Alpha Media, where I'm actually on my lunch break right now. So I'm live right here with Rudy Ramon Reyes. Rudy, how you doing today, boss?
What's going on, man? Good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, man. Happy Friday. So
Yeah.
real quick, a lot of people have been asking me questions, asking a lot of questions about you, and they kind of want to get to know you. So tell us a little bit. We know you're a Steelers fan. We know you're a Squealers fan. But tell us about your
Oh, hey.
who is your basketball team and who's your football team?
Well, my football team,
I mean, and baseball
obviously.
team, baseball team.
The baseball, I'm sad to say it is the Pirates. It's all things Pittsburgh from that standpoint.
Oh wow.
But basketball teams got to be Showtime. That's the Lake Show. Born and
Okay.
raised in Southern California, raised in the Inland Empire, or as others know it as the IE. I was raised in San Bernardino County, California. I lived right off the 10. Not going to give too much more specific information than that, but yeah. I wasn't raised in a good part of town, let's say.
Yeah. Awesome, man. You're a twin too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a twin.
Are you the good looking twin or the ugly twin?
I'll let the viewers decide. It's left or right. Which side do you want, left or right? No, I've been told that I was a better looking twin. I had a better smile twin. So I mean, if that encompasses being the better twin, so be it.
That is awesome, man. That is absolutely awesome. Well, yeah, I wish I was live in studio today, but we're not. We're on location, so
I
we're
love
out
the
here rolling with the
background.
punches.
It's all
Shout out to
industrial.
yeah. It's actually the van. I'm in the back of the van. I'm just just rolling with the punches. Anyway, so we are live on CoachellaValley.com. We're also live on today's California.com, live on today's Canada.com. We're all over the Twitterverse, all over the metaverse, all over the universe. We have a lot to talk about today. We've got to talk about David Culley, who's been fired by the Houston Texans. So that leaves 6 vacancies open right now. So there's a lot. There's a lot of openings right now. So we'll talk about our favorite vacancies right now, head coaches wise in the NFL. We've got 3 games coming up on Sunday that we have not broke down yet. We got the Eagles and the Bucks. We've got the 49ers and the Cowboys, and your Steelers and the Chiefs. So we'll talk about that as well. And we'll kick it off by talking about the Washington football team. Now, the Washington football team has just come out and said that they are going to announce their team name. Oh, first of all, it should not be WFT. It should be WTF. Because
it's all about the WTF. Take your pick. Depends on who you are. They've been a dumpster fire from the onset. I mean, it's
absolutely
not a big surprise that Dan Snyder has brought this once proud organization down to its knees, and of course, they're sticking their nose in the troughs right now. So it's sad.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're gonna finally pick a name. They've gone through 2 football seasons with the name Washington Football Team. Now, for some people in the fan base, it's stuck. They liked it. But others, like myself, I think it's the stupidest name. This is not a soccer club or anything like that. So it should not be Washington Football Team. How hard is it to pick a damn name? It's a damn shame that they don't have a damn name. But they're finally going to pick a name, and they're going to announce it on February 2nd. I am very excited. Being from the DMV area, I know a ton of Washington football team fans. So they're excited. Some names that are on the list: the Washington Presidents, the Washington Senators, the Washington Red Wolves, the Washington Redcoats. But here's the one I really like. Here's the one
I like the Redcoats.
Here's the one I really like. I really like the Washington Brigade. Oof.
It sounds good. I don't know what they're going to put on for any time at halftime. I don't know what they're going to put on during halftime, but I can tell you that it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. I don't know if you're going to have a brigade forcing people to truffle their wallets and their fine jewelry into the brigade's hands to make ends meet. But I'm not a fan of. I like the Redcoats. I think that has a perfect place in history from a historical value sense.
Yes.
And when you hear the famous call of Paul Revere, it's the British are coming. The British are coming. I mean, it was absolutely perfect and it's set in stone. I don't know that it'll be it, but I'd like to see that.
I think we should stay away from like red, the word red though. Don't you think? Like, because that's the word that got us in trouble, Redskins. So I mean, like,
Well, skin is the
skin is the bad word.
inherent word. That's the one that people have a problem with. I have red skin. I think that's I don't know. I'm so over this whole name picking thing. Just flip a coin at halftime. If it's heads, it's one other name. If it's tails, stay with what you got.
And see, I was a fan of alliteration. I like the Washington Warriors. I like the Washington Wolves. I'm a fan of alliteration when it comes to team names. But we'll see. We'll see. They're gonna pick it on February 2nd, and it should be interesting. But we're probably gonna see other sports, other teams have to go through the same type of situation because their name is their logos might not be favorable to the Native American community. You got the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that one is a little bit like a chief is fierce, so I think that one is not as bad. Like the Blackhawks logo, the Chicago Blackhawks logo, that one's next. They got rid of the Cleveland Indians logo. Now they're the Cleveland. What are they? The Guardians.
Yeah, the Guardians, but the Atlanta Braves. Think
Atlanta
about that,
Braves.
right?
Yeah,
no, don't forget this name could go either way. You're talking about people who are not brave versus those that are brave. It was just so happened that the ones that were brave happen to be Native American Indians. We're not talking about just what's in a name. It's what's a part of that name. What could actually not step things over the trough, if you will, of the reality of names here. What's in a name? Where's the beef? Everybody knows where that is, right? Or who came out with Wendy's, whatever. I just think that this is well overdone. But I do. I think that a name change for anything that offends people in such a way that it's an entire, nation that was here before the Americans ever landed needs to be paid with serious tribute and look at it constantly for what it really is, and that's value, and that's where these Native Americans brought to this country before we ever landed was value.
Absolutely, and that's a deep point right there, man. But yeah, I mean, I think they're overthinking it too. Just pick a name and let's go. Let's roll with it. I mean, look at some of these college names, these college mascots. The Ohio State Buckeyes. Like, what is a Buckeye? I heard it's a nut. It's like literally a nut. Then you got the Virginia Tech Hokies. I'm a Virginia Tech fan. What is a Hokie? It looks like a turkey. I don't know what our logo is. So logos are really not that important. They're really not that serious. Just pick a name and roll with it. But let's continue to talk some football. We are Go Long Live. I am Barry Long II. He is Rudy Reyes. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, today'scalifornia.com, today'scanada.com. I am improvising today, as well as you can see. So I don't have my tripod with me. I mean, we're rolling with the punches, but this is what, as they say in show business, the show must go on. All right, so our first game that we're gonna have on Sunday is the Eagles versus the Buccaneers, and we've heard, some rumblings out of the Buccaneers recently in recent weeks. A lot of stuff going on with them. Who do you like in this game, and why? Do you think the Buccaneers are facing too many distractions right now? Or do you think that they're really going to be able to compartmentalize and Tom Brady's going to be able to get the job done?
That offensive line for Tom Brady really has to come into effect. They really have to play lights out. They were doing that within the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 games, playing lights out, giving Tom Brady enough time in the pocket. And that's really all he needs. He has one of the fastest relief times in the NFL. And so if you give him that kind of time, he's going to slice you and dice you and thrice you, and he's not going to be nice to you. It's going to be close though. It's going to
be wrap it up here, man.
The only thing I usually wrap are gifts at Christmas or birthdays, maybe in a bar mitzvah. But I'm looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I look at the Eagles and I think to myself, man, this is like 3 wins in a row for the actually 2 in a row for the Buccaneers. But this series is tied right now. So we're going to find out who this Philadelphia Eagles team is. Miles Sanders is going to come back after hurting his hand. He's going to wear some extra padding to see what that looks like. But and the Eagles look fresh. They look fresh. They benched the guys they needed to bench. It wasn't a hard decision to bench basically any of those starters because everybody else needs the reps. They need real-time, game-time reps. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on this.
Yeah. As much as I'm rooting for Jalen Hurts and and that Philadelphia Eagles team, and they've been through a lot this season. We haven't really known who they are. When they're hot one week, they're not the next week, and uh, it's been an interesting season for them. But I think they finally have found their quarterback in Jalen Hurts, their franchise quarterback. The style in which they play is they're a running team. And having Miles Sanders back is going to be huge. And yes, he is a running back with a hand injury. And some of you out there may be looking like, oh, like, man, he doesn't need his hands to run. Yes, he does. He does a lot more than just run. I mean, of course, he needs to be able to grab the handoffs, but he catches out of the backfield too. So they're going to need him in the check down game. They're going to need him a lot. So having him back is going to be key to them. But I really do. I'm going with the Buccaneers as well. I think that even if you don't have Antonio Brown and you don't have Chris Godwin, you still got the two really good tight ends, three really good tight ends, and OJ Howard, Brait, and Gronkowski. And you got Mike Evans playing at a high level.
And nobody needs Antonio Brown. Who needs Antonio Brown? Nobody needs Antonio Brown.
And they've got some pieces. They've got some speedy guys. They've got Cyril Grayson. They've also got Rashad Perriman. So these are guys that are barn burners. So Antonio Brown, he's not just a speedy guy. He's a great route runner. He's a technician. He's fantastic. But they've got the pieces. They've got enough pieces around Tom Brady to get the ball out of his hands quick. And I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I like them actually to win big in this game.
Sure. Yeah, I do as well.
Now let's talk about the 49ers and the
one more thing. There's one more thing I want to talk about here. In the secondary, they went out and they acquired a free agent. Everybody should know who this guy is. His name is Pierre Desir. He graduated out of a very small Division I college, one of the smallest in the country. Ended up being drafted by the Cleveland Browns, and I broke that ESPN story. Well, now he'll be starting in the secondary against the Eagles. I was scheduled to have him on the show, but he's busy with practice and family and all that before the game this week.
I bet.
So I thought I'd throw that in there. So I'm just waiting for him. And hopefully he'll call in at some point. Yeah, maybe we'll get him on the show.
For sure, man. We got to get him on. We definitely got to get him on. We are live on CoachellaValley.com, live on today's California.com, live on today's Canada.com. Real quick, shout out to Craig Campbell. We appreciate everything you do. All right, now let's get into this 49ers Cowboys game. This is going to be a big game. A lot of people are talking about this on social media. And, Jimmy G has been through a lot, man, in his little short, brief starting career as a starting quarterback. He probably was a backup for longer than he's been a starter. But he's been fantastic in big games, and he was amazing in that at the end of that Rams game. And we've seen him have bad games. We've seen the 49ers be able to win without using him, kind of like what Mac Jones was to the Patriots when they only threw for 3 times. Jimmy G has been a guy that has always had a good running game. He's got great play calling. He's had a pretty good defense, but he just has never been able to get it over the hump. He got him to the Super Bowl. Some could argue that the defense and the running game got them to the Super Bowl, but he's a guy that faces a lot of criticism because he's overpaid. To a lot of people, he's overpaid and he's really not worth that much money. And then you've got the young guy Trey Lance sitting in the wings. So he's been criticized a lot, and he's been hearing the rumors and reading the tea leaves and hearing all the stuff about Jimmy G's probably not going to be there next year. Blah 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 blah. But all he continues to do is go out and ball. And I'm a fan of Jimmy G. I really am. I like what they bring to the table as far as the running game is concerned, and adding Deebo Samuel to the running game. And I like George Kittle. I like the defense, but at this time, I'm really thinking that this is the Cowboys season, and the Cowboys I'm not saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think that they are going to roll these first 2 games in the playoffs with that defense great on all 3 levels. All 3 levels. And yes, I'm predicting Diggs to have a pick. The one pick that Jimmy G throws, it will be to Diggs. But I like the Cowboys big in this game. Who do you like, Rudy Reyes?
There is a lot of things to like about this particular matchup. If you're a Cowboys fan, you're loving it because they've won last 3 head-to-head matchups. And I don't mean just win. They win big. Big. Whether it's in Dallas, whether it's in San Francisco, 24-17, 40-10, as well as 41-13 33. So these
Mm.
teams have the propensity of actually shooting out and having a shootout game. However, Jimmy G is struggling with that thumb. It's been wrapped, it's surgically repaired, and so on and so forth. I don't know if he's going to use the gloves. He probably should. I don't know. It depends on his feel for the ball. And once it's in his hands, determine whether or not it's going to be good to go without the gloves. I do like the offensive components. Mostert's still in there. You have George, Kittle's an absolute beast. The guy gets hit to the ground and he gets right back up like a shiny new dime. Every time he gets hit, knocked down on the ground. But I mean, you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys have been absolutely lights out, especially on third and shorts, second and longs. They're lights out. I mean, Micah Parsons, I would say the definitive rookie of the year player happens to be a defensive guy, which it very well should. Micah Parsons coming out of Penn State, he's been doing this all over the field all season long, cover corners. He can rush the passer. He can disguise in blitz coverage. The guy's everywhere. So Dallas Cowboys has their work cut out for them. The only component I'm worried about is the Dallas Cowboys and whether or not they don't turn themselves into a one-dimensional game, not just run first, not just pass first, but in a mix and match scenario where these play calls need to keep the defense honest. Because if you don't do that, you end up being one-dimensional, and the 49ers have been known since Saleh left to be the New York Jets head coach. He was a defensive the defensive coordinator for the 49ers who set that defense in motion, and it's still showing up regardless of whether they're down 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. These guys fight on every single down. So if the Dallas Cowboys can stay fluid on offense and mix and match, they're going to find themselves in plus territory and not behind the sticks.
Yeah, that has been one of the things that that Dak Prescott has had. He's had games where he's exploded offensively, and then he's had games where they've looked, pedestrian offensively. So we've seen them put up tons of points and no points basically in a couple of games. But we'll see. We don't know which Cowboys we're going to get offensively, but I think defensively they are right. And you're right about Michael Parsons. He is so great, so versatile. I mean, dropping him in coverage, rushing the passer. I mean, this team really is special. And I think that the one thing that could get them in trouble, if it does rear its ugly head, is Mike McCarthy's inability to manage the clock at the end of quarters or at the end of the half and at the end of the game. So, Mike McCarthy probably is the weakest link on this team. And that's, I mean, Mike McCarthy's a good coach, but he's not a great coach. And he's the criticism that he's received is fair and it's warranted because we've seen him at the end of the halves, and it's like, what is he doing, dude? Like, call a timeout, bro. And he doesn't. So it'll be interesting to see if that does rear its ugly head, but we'll see, man. We'll see. I do like the Cowboys to win this game, and I'm excited for Cowboy Nation because they've been waiting for a long time.
Long
Now
time
we are
since 95. Since 95.
Man, I know, man.
And it's been a long time. I know quite a few Cowboy fans. They're just chomping at the bit right about now. But a side note, Cooper decided to break a mask mandate during the Mavs game the other night and was fined $14,000 for not wearing his mask and not staying socially distant. The NFL looks at this stuff. All they have to do is turn on the TV, and all of a sudden you get a shout out from the media saying, "Oh, look who's in the audience. It's Cooper," And the NFL looks at that and says, "Okay, no mask. He's next to people, maybe a group of 4, group of 5. But this is just something you just don't do." I understand this is probably chump change to him, but if I was fined $14,000, I'd be living in a doghouse. I'm just saying.
You got that right. You absolutely got that right. It's crazy, man. Like, these players, they go to different games, and the production crews for ESPN or for TNT, they want to zoom in on whoever celebrities are in the building. Like, you watch the games at Madison Square Garden, they're zooming in on Spike Lee, Denzel Washington sitting courtside. So the NFL player's got to be smarter than that. I mean, he's got to know that when he's out there, he's got to know that he's got to wear that mask. I mean, I know Amari Cooper's making a lot of money, but $14,000 is still $14,000.
Right, exactly. Well, not only that, because
$14,000.
absolutely, I can put a down payment on a Tesla. or that new Mercedes-Benz EOS. But, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you got to wear a mask. It's for your safety and for others around you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we are live on CoachellaValley.com, live on today's California.com, today's Canada.com. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Please comment and let us know what you think about the show. All right, and please follow the show as well, and follow CoachellaValley.com on Facebook and on Twitter. All right, so I know this is the game that you're excited to see, Steelers versus Chiefs. You being a Steelers fan, we talked about this last night off the air, kind of how, I really do feel like I'm really rooting for Big Ben. This is the first year as a Ravens fan that I'm actually allowed to say this. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm hoping Big Ben goes out with a Super Bowl. All right. I know it won't happen. It may not happen. But it could happen. And I think that Big Ben definitely deserves it. But it's really about that defense. They've got the offensive weapons. They've got Najee Harris. We've seen Najee Harris go off and explode for a couple games. And we've seen Claypool have great games. I love with Deontay Johnson. I like this team. I like this team a lot offensively. Big Ben has been, the weakest link for the last couple seasons. A lot of people felt like he should have retired last year. Got a lot of criticism for coming back this year. So that's why I'm kind of rooting for him, because he needs to remind these people that he's Ben Roethlisberger. He's got 2 damn rings. And at the end of the day, yeah, he may not be the same young, gunner that he was when younger in his career, but he's a savvy veteran, and he's got a great defense. And a lot of people talk about TJ Watt. We love TJ Watt. Of course, he tied the sack record, probably will take the sack record. But at the end of the day, my favorite player on that defense is Minkah Fitzpatrick. Minkah Fitzpatrick is a dog right there. And I think that the defense is going to give the Chiefs a little bit of problems. Now, who are you picking in this game and why?
Well, you already know who I'm picking in this game. It's got to be Pittsburgh. They've been playing the underdog. They've been playing the underdog since the Raiders beat the Chargers at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Okay, first and foremost, let's score that up right now.
Man.
Secondly, the last 2 meetings between these 2 teams, they both have a loss. Actually, the Steelers lost twice to them, dating back into 2018 and 2021. So it makes you wonder which Steelers team's really going to show up. Yeah, people were calling for Ben's head, but he's going into this with probably the largest chip to land on any player's shoulder in history. It may not be visible, but it's there. You were talking about having a lot of the weapons. Juju Smith-Schuster back at practice could have an opportunity to play. Yep, get out the Juju bees. I know I will. I'll be chomping on those, watching every down with Juju on the field. If he makes his way back onto the grass, that's going to be a game time decision. But when you switch to the defensive side of the ball, Watt's lights out. There's no question about him being the defensive player of the year. There's no doubt about it. In my mind, Cam Hayward should be the Walter Payton Man of the Year as well, as he's being voted for currently. When you mentioned Minkah Fitzpatrick, he's had 29 tackles solo and passes other legends on that Steelers past rosters, in fact, of making those tackles. Now, one thing about Minkah, I remember interviewing him when he was drafted by the Miami Dolphins back in 2018, never played within his suit. In other words, he never played within the safety position that he was drafted, that they drafted him as. They drafted him as a free safety. A natural position for him is cornerback. So the way that he was playing in Miami wasn't even showing his skill set or what he can do in the quarterback position, because Miami's played him at the free safety. But Minkah's been an absolute beast. It's shocking that he did not get a Pro Bowl nod, didn't even get talked about in a Pro Bowl nod, and will not be going to the Pro Bowl. But he did end up going last year. But this year has been relatively tumultuous. They've been, you have Akello Witherspoon, and you're thinking, who, what, golden spoon in his mouth? No, the guy is an absolute baller. We found out last Sunday what he's made of. But, Steelers need to go into Arrowhead and pretend like this is just a regular playoff game. They've done this before. Ben's been there, done that before. He's had tons of playoff experience, even lost a Super Bowl 45 to the Green Bay Packers. So it's not as if Ben doesn't know what's at stake here. You're one and done. If you don't commit on the field, you're going to get committed into psychiatric ward if you're a Steelers fan, because you're going to wonder what happened to the key that they locked you up with. So I'm going to pick the Steelers, but it's going to be a squeaker. When I say squeaker, I say squeaker. We're talking 24-21 Steelers at Arrowhead. That's my upset special.
Okay, I like that. Now I did tell you off the record that I was rooting deep down for the Steelers, but I have to use conventional wisdom in this game, and conventional wisdom tells me that it's Patrick Mahomes. And this defense is playing lights out right now. I mean, the way that they were winning games early on in this dynasty, if you will, with the Patrick Mahomes era, it was all offense. They had no defense. The defense was the weakest link. The defense is giving up 40 points. So Patrick Mahomes has to go score 41, 42, 45. And he was doing it. But what we've seen this year is this team has evolved into a defensive-minded first team. And then the offense was kind of lacking for a couple of games. And then finally, the offense started picking up and was able to match the same intensity that the defense is having. So right now, this team is firing on all cylinders. Now, um, I do like what they were able to do with the whole COVID protocol when he didn't have his weapons, when he didn't have Travis Kelce, he was able to get Brian Pringle involved, and McCole Hardman got some more touches that he would normally have. You got the running backs going on all cylinders. I just like this game to go down to the wire. But, for the sake of the show, I'm going to have to pick the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs.
Well, don't forget, Hilaire is out against Pittsburgh. So Clyde Hilaire will not be playing. He's registered as out. So
Edwards Hilaire is going to be a big blow. But they got Gore. They got some dogs. But yeah, definitely not having Edwards Hilaire is gonna hurt them. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm picking the Chiefs just for the sake of the show. I'm really going for the Steelers, just to let everybody out there know. I'm a Mike Tomlin fan. I'm from the 757 area, from the Hampton Roads area. So I always root for Mike Tomlin, even though I have to root against him. Now speaking of coaches, let's talk about this guy, David Culley. He was fired by the Houston Texans, and I just never really was a David Culley fan. Like, I know David Culley was a part of the Ravens organization, but he was an assistant head coach. He was a wide receivers coach, and he was a passing game coordinator. Okay, and most of his career, he's never been a head coach at any level or at any job. He's always been a wide receivers coach. So if we remember when they hired David Culley, he was like their 6th or 7th choice. They interviewed massive people. They wanted Eric Bieniemy. That was who they were originally going after. But this job was such a bad job, and Bill O'Brien left this organization in such disarray that nobody wanted to go there. So David Culley was, the guy. And you knew that when he got the job that he probably wasn't going to last for 10, 12, 15 years. It's not that he didn't look the part. And it's been a rough season. They had Tyrod Taylor go down with the injury. Of course, he came into the job thinking that he was going to be able to convince Deshaun Watson that and that to come back and play for Houston. And then they kind of felt like that David Culley would have a good rapport with Deshaun Watson, and that didn't happen. And Tyrod Taylor gets injured. They have Davis Mills out there. I like what Davis Mills has been able to do. One of the most accurate quarterbacks this season, but ultimately, it's a bad franchise. It's a bad team. And it was time for David Culley to go. So with that being said, we've got all these vacancies open right now. You got Denver, you got Minnesota, you got Chicago, you got Houston, you got Miami, you got Jacksonville. I mean, what is the best job you think right now?
Minnesota's loaded. I mean, we've had this conversation before. Minnesota has everything they need between Jefferson. I mean, you have you have a myriad of weapons on both sides of the ball. You have Cooks. His younger brother is about to hopefully maybe make that leap and be cooking some up in Minnesota if Dalvin can get his brother up there to play in a dome. Dalvin, yeah. A dome.
Yeah.
So we're gonna find out what that actually looks like. But Minnesota just has all those components. And don't forget, not only is he gone, but Rick Spielman's gone too, which really kind of goes to the credit of looking at his record, wins, loss, which is not horribly bad. At the end of the day, Zimmer went 72-56-1. Spielman along for the ride to help them put themselves in better positioning, playoff positioning, Super Bowl implications, things of that nature. But there's still one issue with this team. And that's Kirk I don't know where I'm going to throw the ball next. Cousins. It just really
Kirk's
makes
second
you
Cousins.
wonder. It makes you wonder where he's actually going to throw the ball to. He wears so much padding. He's looking at the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man trying to throw a football. You know, and the decisions that he makes is just absolutely mind-boggling, head scratching at times. Of course, more to scratch if you have hair, unlike myself. But you know, when you look at all these jobs, all these positions that are open, Jacksonville's a dumpster fire. Houston's like the fire on top of that. You know, two dumpsters stacked.
But you do have Trevor Lawrence. You do have Trevor Lawrence.
I don't care. I don't care if you have the number one pick every single year, just like Jacksonville will actually have this upcoming draft.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. Nothing phases me about the Jacksonville job. Doesn't even entice me. If I was a head coach, those are two jobs I do not want. Working for the Texans that are completely dysfunctional, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, they couldn't find their head out of a paper bag. And I just don't know if they're going to find a way to do something with Trevor Lawrence. Who's a quarterback going to be under center next year for the Texans? It's not going to be Deshaun Watson. He's going to be finding himself playing somewhere else. It just makes you wonder and begs the question: when are these franchises going to get out of hypocrisy and move into the 21st century? Then you talk about the head coaching situation in general. African Americans are getting a fair shake. The last head coach remaining still standing and in the playoffs is Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin? He's the only one.
He's
the only one left.
The only one left, the last of the Mohicans. He's not Mohican, but if he was, he would be the last of the Mohicans. Great movie, by the way. If you haven't watched it, go check it out.
Absolutely a great movie.
This is fantastic and a failure all at the same time. You have a black head coach who's now in the NFL playoffs, but he's the only one left out of 31 other teams that do not have a minority coach other than Ron Rivera for the Washington football team, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. Now, let's say Deshaun Watson. Is this a scenario that you could see happening? If Deshaun Watson goes into the Houston Texans front office and he says, hey, I want you to hire this guy, and if you hire this guy, I'll come back and I'll play and I'll be a Houston Texans. Do you see a scenario where that ever happens?
He may have some type of say, but the only way he'll have any type of say if he commits to playing in 2022, regardless of the coach that's there. The problem is that the Texans don't want him to play under center. He's asked for a trade already. So when you get a guy in that situation that's looking for a trade, and it's Deshaun Watson, you might want to do that. But I don't think sending him for 3 first-round picks in the 2022 NFL draft, second-round pick in the 2023 NFL, it's ridiculous. I think they're going to lower what they're asking for Watson. If not, they should.
Yeah, for sure. And Deshaun Watson has some bigger issues. He has bigger fish to fry. He's got these legal issues that he's going to have to worry about. So we'll see how that all plays out. I don't even know if this guy ever plays in the NFL again. I think that he should, but we don't know. We don't know what's gonna transpire with the legality situation. All right, but real quick, we've got football on this weekend. We want everybody to enjoy it. Rudy Reyes, let them know where they can find you.
Now you can go to therudedogshow.com, at Rude Dog Reyes on Twitter. Throw me a follow. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn. I don't have a Cameo yet. Maybe I should. I don't know.
You got to get a Cameo, man.
I'll get a Cameo. Okay. I have a Snapchat and all that other nonsense, so I may as well just throw.
You got a TikTok? Do you have a TikTok?
No, I don't do TikTok, man. The only TikTok I know is what the watch that I don't have on my left wrist is not doing, which is TikTok.
For sure, man. You can find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long. I'm on IG at BarryLong_2. And I will be in studio on Monday from here on out. This will be the last time that you see me with this industrial background, but we roll with the punches. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember, you're capable of doing anything, so go out and do it. Enjoy the football this weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Peace.
Thank you, love.